to the Slow Burn Professional Wrestling Podcast. Welcome today. Going to talk a little bit about the Netflix Raw preview that we had Monday night. Such an awesome night. My God, it was awesome. I'll be honest, I haven't quite came down from it yet. And some of it's nostalgia, I guess. But some of it was awesomeness. And some of it was just, God, this is exciting. Where are we going with this? Pat McAfee said it best. 80% of the people on the earth were watching that program the other night, and that makes it pretty good. So we'll take that. We're also going to talk a little bit about NXT from last night, and then we'll quickly preview our Dynamite, and then I'm going to bring in a new segment today. We're going to call it Classic Wrestling, all right? And what we do with Classic Wrestling, we're just going to give it a look back, and today it's going to be a little bit of a personal look back for me. So we're going to get into that, but first, let's go ahead and get started on Raw. First off, let's check it off. Matches, check. Yes. The people, the guests that came, check. Yes. All right. Triple H as the opener, check. Yes. The crowd being freaking live and hype the whole entire time, check. Yes. Guys, the show had everything. It really did. I thought that WWE went above and beyond. We knew that they were going to pull out all of the clicks and whistles. We knew all the bells and whistles, rather. We knew that all the pomp and circumstance was going to be out. But I'm going to tell you, it was more than what I even expected it to be honest. It had a Mania feel to it. It really did. And I've read a couple things that said some people considered it bigger than a Mania. And I'm not going to go that route because we know what Mania is. It's the Super Bowl. But at the same time, I think that what we had was a pretty high level event, and it's something that should definitely be remembered and is going to go down in wrestling history. And I'm glad to say that we were here, that we were a part of it. So let's get to Raw. Let's talk about it, guys. I don't want to spend a ton of time. We've got a lot to cover today, but I would be a fool if I didn't talk about Triple H. Guys, the way they set this up for the opener with the flashbacks, the montage, Triple H narrating, I'm going to tell you, I got in the feels. I totally did. The way they took it back, I know if you're watching this, you're not a big wrestling person, you may not know that wrestling gets its origination from the carnivals, all right? It was a carny crowd. It was a carnival show. That's what it was. It was the wrestlers would travel from town to town, take on the town's biggest and brightest, and that's how it went down. So it's a carnival culture. They call it carny culture. So that's where it began, and that's where Triple H started off at. And I thought in a modern setting to take it all the way back, it was pretty awesome. But what he did was something that WWE has done so much better than anyone else that has ever breathed professional wrestling, sports entertainment, and that's TV. And that's what Triple H said. And he brought it out to the fact that when television brought wrestling to the forefront, wrestling became a part of American life. And that's what we saw. We saw pictures of Gorgeous George. We saw pictures of Bruno Sammartino. We go forward, we see Hogan. We'll get to Hogan, by the way. We go forward with Hogan. We got Stone Cold. Obviously, we got The Rock. You're going to show everybody. It was such a great celebration of wrestling's history, the past, the present, and then obviously we get to see the future every single day when we're watching these programs. But I thought Triple H was amazing. And guys, let's be honest, the Triple H handoff straight to The Rock was pretty special. Now, with the rivalry that they had always had, and now with Rock being on the TKO board, it was a special night. And let's be honest, we knew that Rock was opening this show up. If you didn't know that Rock was opening this show up, get out of your cave. There's a thing called professional wrestling. You need to pay attention to it, okay? But The Rock did great. But I'm going to say, on a personal note, I didn't like The Rock. I didn't. And if you know me, you know that I am a Rock guy. I've always liked The Rock. I like The Rock as a bad guy. I like The Rock as a heel. And I thought when we last saw Rock going out of Mania season, the night after Mania, and then, of course, we got the one little glimpse at Bad Blood. But when we last saw Rock, he was healing it up. He was the ultimate heel, the final boss. And I wanted that. That's what I wanted with The Rock coming back. I wanted Final Boss. I wanted Mean Rock. I wanted Mama Rhodes. That's what I wanted. And we didn't get it. What we got was Dwayne Johnson, who sits on the TKO board of directors. That's who we got there, okay? And, okay, I guess I can get out of my wrestling nerdness for just a second and say I get it. There's probably a lot of people that were watching that show that maybe weren't wrestling fans. And for the first night out, The Rock has to come out and be the ambassador. I understand that. He is the ambassador. Hell, he's the biggest star in the world. Not just here in America. He's not just the most well-known wrestler of all time. Hell, he's the biggest movie star in the world. The guy freaking touches pieces of shit and it turns to gold right now, except for Black Adam. But I digress. But regardless, what we saw was Ambassador Rock and not the final boss Rock. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I thought we got away from the story. Maybe the next time out, the next time The Rock makes an appearance, we'll get more of the wrestling side of things, the more of the heel final boss Rock. But we didn't get that. We got the guy that was kissing babies and shaking hands is what we got, or shaking hands and kissing babies, or however you want to do it. You don't want to shake babies, though. That's the thing you don't want to do. But what we got out of that was the negativity that should have been there was missing. That's I guess what I'm trying to say. And to be honest with you, I'll take it a step further. He was so nice to Cody, and the last time we saw an interaction with him and Cody, he gave him something in his hand, and it was a mystery, and we still don't know to this day what it was that he gave him. Everybody thinks it was a Rolex, but we really don't know. So now all of a sudden we're all happy and we're all freaking having a great time. I don't like that. I just think that you had a golden opportunity right here in front of the world to really bring this home and take it into Mania season with the Rumble coming up. And I think they missed. But of course, what do I know? I'm a guy with 3 followers. So there you go. But I thought the other part about that, besides just the interaction with Cody, was Cody was sitting in the front row. What? Like, I don't understand. This is the biggest thing that baffles me of the show. And again, guys, I love the show. I rate the show a freaking A-. I thought the show was fantastic. I'm being a little bit negative today, but at the same time, like, you put your biggest star in the front row. Like, why isn't he getting his music? Why doesn't he get to come? And I don't want to run in. I don't want him to come in and help bail somebody out. What I want to see is I want to see him come down, music hit, face to face with The Rock, and then if we're going to shake hands, we shake hands and see what happens with the story. Or maybe we slap the shit out of each other and the story progresses even further. So I just thought they missed on an opportunity there that could have been better. But here again, I'm just a guy with 4 followers. So I thought they could have hit better. That's what I'll say. Now, let's take it into the action. First match, I had a feeling that the first match would be Tribal Combat because I knew the Punk Seth would probably be main event, with them both being Raw wrestlers and the other guys being SmackDown wrestlers. But they started off with Tribal Combat, and we got a lot of what I wanted to get, and that was storytelling 101, okay? This match was so freaking good on so many levels. Now, guys, you know what you're getting with Solo. You're not going to get moonsaults. You're going to get power-based moves. He's not going to have the biggest move set, but what he's going to give you is hard-hitting action. Roman's the same type of way. They're very similar into the way that they wrestle, the way they actually perceive themselves in the ring. But we saw last night was them at their highest level. I really did. And guys, Solo gets better every single time he gets in the ring, every single time he gets on the mic. This actually is very funny right now on the mic. I'm enjoying that. But in the ring, I thought this played out about how it needed to play out. I'm so glad that they had Roman go over. I'm actually very glad that we didn't get any Heyman drama. I know a lot of people in the wrestling world have been really talking about the Paul Heyman drama, and that Heyman would trade on The Rock, go against Roman, maybe join The Rock. Maybe Heyman will just get rid of the Samoans altogether, go back to Punk, and there was a lot of stuff there. I'm glad that it just stayed even keel and that Heyman played his normal role of being the wise man and being that focal point for Roman. And by the way, if you watched Heyman at all throughout that match, just the way he was holding the Ula Fala and the way he was so freaking amazing. Paul Heyman, still to this day, maybe the best that's ever done it on that side of the ring. Okay, but all in all, match fantastic. some of the best storytelling that you're ever going to see. Roman goes over. We had our run-ins. You knew Sammy was coming out, and Big Jim. We knew that we were going to get Jacob. We knew we were going to get Tama. Where do we go from here? I'm not really sure. I would love to see maybe a Rock Roman, but we've got to get there. We've got to climb there. And I'm not really sure how we do it, but I have all the faith in the world in Paul Heyman in this story and the fact that they're going to do something pretty special. Now, that brings us to the very next part, and probably a part that a lot of you in here were extremely interested in. Myself not being one of them. And that is John Cena. All right, Cena's retirement tour. It's happening. It's happening. We're all here for it, guys. If you're gonna say another high-level wrestler right below The Rock, you have to say Cena. Because I'm not gonna say Stone Cold because he's not a movie star right now. But at the same time, Cena comes down. He makes his never say never. He officially enters the Royal Rumble. I knew this was going to happen. I'm sure he'll be in Elimination Chamber as well. My guess here is that Cena entering the Rumble but doesn't go over at the Rumble. I'll give you my predictions on this, all right? I'm going to play this out. We're going to play the slow burn, right? We're going to give it the long game here. I see Cena in like maybe the final four of the Royal Rumble. Okay, he's going to get to touch a few people, and we'll have some stories. We'll see him and Punk face off. We'll see the stories we need to see. Maybe him and Rock. Maybe that's your final two, Cena and Rock. I don't know. But what I see happening here is Cena not winning the Rumble. Okay, I really don't. I actually am predicting. You hearing it here first. CM Punk's winning the Royal Rumble. Okay. Now, with that said, though, I do see Cena going over at Elimination Chamber. Okay. We're gonna see this. Cena's gonna win at WrestleMania. All right, we're getting a Cena wrestling belt at WrestleMania. He's gonna win his 17th World Championship, and I'm gonna be pissed off. Ric Flair says he's okay with it. Well, Rick, your guy's not. All right, I'm not okay with it because you will forever be my guy. But regardless, I think we're getting it, guys. It's just something we're gonna have to cope with, and I know so many of you are gonna love this, and I'm okay. I'm not a Cena guy. I respect him. I love what he does. The stuff he does with Make-A-Wish. I mean, he's high level as a human, as a wrestler. Jorts, people, jorts. And dude, as you can see here, I do this for a purpose today. Normally, I'm wearing a hat. Today, I'm not wearing a hat. This is my call to you, John Cena. Bald is beautiful. All right, so here we go. We got Cena coming back. Whatever. All right, we're going to deal with it. We're going to get it. That gets us to the women's match. Rhea over Liv. I thought this was a decent match. It wasn't honestly as good as some of their previous stuff that they've done before, but we got a new champion, Rhea Ripley. And guys, that needed to happen. Rhea needs that strap on her. And honestly, the company needs to have the strap on her because she might be, outside of Cody and maybe Jay, she might be the hottest thing in the WWE. I mean, she is so well received right now, and it's fun to watch. I'm glad it's all happening. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. The one thing I do want to say, glad Rhea went over. The one thing I don't get is, and I like the American Badass, but and I'm an Undertaker. Thank you for everything you've done, but that didn't make any sense to me. All right. Now, I read a rumor. Now, who knows if this is true or not, but I read a rumor that was supposed to be Becky Lynch's spot and that Becky was going to come out and that we were going to get a face-off with Becky and Rhea and maybe kind of set up a story. We need that, by the way. We need Becky back in here for the Mania run. But we didn't get that. We got The Undertaker, who literally had Kid Rock music hit, rides a Harley down, around the ring, up, throws the fist up, gives Rhea a look, boom, gone. Thank you very much, Undertaker. Appreciate you. Thanks for playing. And that's what we saw, guys. The Undertaker needed more. First off, he deserved more. I wish we could have got him some mic time rather than somebody else later. But I also thought that we missed an opportunity. I keep talking about these misses, but I'm totally nitpicking. So that brings me to Jay versus Drew. What I said was my wife's favorite match of the night. It ended up being my wife's favorite match because of the fact that her guy Jay does go over. Guy, the main event, Jay Uso, still right now hotter than everybody. What I want to bring attention to was more than just Jay winning this match. It was Travis Scott blazing a blunt behind Jay as he's walking down through the crowd. God bless Los Angeles. I mean, seriously. Hey, if we're still staying PG WWE, we may want to watch the weed on Raw, even if it is in California. Just saying. All right, but thank you. What are you gonna do? The other thing I want to talk about, the Jey Uso Drew match, not just so much the action, because the action was good, the facials were good, the story was good. I'm not sure if they'll keep going with this or not, but I just want to call some very big attention into this match from one person and one person in particular. His name, Michael fucking Cole. All right. First off, might be the worst dancer in the whole entire world. He yeeted all over the table many, many times, but very much offbeat. Listening to Pat talk to Michael as they're going through this is literally one of my favorite things in the world. You can tell those dudes actually really like each other. They're friends. They laugh. They have a good time. It's like a couple of buddies that are just doing something that they enjoy. But the other thing with Michael Cole, with this match in particular, and here I'm going to show my wrestling dorkdom here. He let everybody know in this match the backstory. He let everybody in on this match, even though they might not completely have an idea of why Drew and Jay are going up against it. Why is this one of the big matches on Raw? If you're a casual wrestling fan, or maybe somebody that just turned it on for the hell of it, you probably had no clue. Michael Cole did a freaking wonderful job at setting the tone for that. I mean, he's wonderful every time he gets on the mic, but what he did with that match to me was second to none. I know you're probably not going to go back and watch it, but if you don't pay attention to that kind of stuff, go back and watch 5 minutes of it. Just open it up 5 minutes in the middle of that match and listen to what Michael Cole does and how he explains not just the action, but the background, the story. And honestly, he does it better than anybody in the business. One of the best of anybody in the business ever. We will do a Mount Rushmore of announcers very soon, a play-by-play guys. I might even do a ring announce or a Mount Rushmore of color commentators too. That might even be more fun. So, because we know some of the Mount Rushmore of play-by-play guys is going to be pretty simple. We got Michael Cole, JR. But you're getting me off topic. All right, so we had that Jay. We had him going over Drew. That brings us to the main. I'm going to get to Hogan. All right, and we're going to wrap up with Hogan. But what brings us to the main event, and that is Punk versus Seth. Masters class. I mean, the action, excellent. The storytelling, excellent. The way they danced with one another, excellent. The way they played with the crowd, the way they interacted, excellent. These are two of the best that's ever done it. They did it together, and I want it to happen again. I'm getting chills right now talking about this. Is how big of a freaking dork I am. All right, talking about this match gets me so fired up because they literally are not just two of my all-time favorites, but two of the best to ever do it. They're relatable. They've had their ups, they've had their downs. You've seen them on every side of the street, every side of the token. But at the same time, these two do not like each other, all right? And I'm going to tell you guys, it was freaking obvious to me. It was very obvious to me that these two did not like each other. That the fact that there's some legitimate hatred, but it also gives credit to how much professionals these guys are and how that you can put your animosity aside and go make millions of dollars. It's not a bad little deal. Of course, pretty good sell-off too. But all in all, this was a masterpiece. I want to say the crowd was really good. I wouldn't call it a 50-50 split. I would call it a 60-40 split with Punk being the 60, Seth being the 40. Seth got a little more, actually, than what I expected him to get. But then again, it's the Hollywood crowd, too, and sometimes you don't know what you're going to get with your L.A. crowd. Not like a St. Louis crowd where it's pretty standard and it's going to be just passionate and you're going to get after it. But the L.A. crowd can kind of go up and down. Sometimes New York can be that way, too, but Philly, always that way. But this match was perfect. I mean, there was literally nothing. There are very few A-level matches, in my opinion, in today's wrestling world. This was an A-level match. And honestly, I can't wait to watch it again. And I hope we get this to keep going. I keep hearing that that's probably the end of this feud. That will probably go on, and maybe it should be the end of this feud. They got their piece. They got to beat the hell out of each other. Now we move on. So we'll see what happens. But all in all, great show, and guy, wonderful job. I mean, it was a perfectly executed match. I don't know who the agent was that produced that match backstage. My guess is probably Jamie Noble, because he's one of the bigger ones. Maybe Triple H just did it himself, but they need a tip of the hat too, because what you did was perfection. I'm going to get probably criticized for this, but I don't care. It's my personal opinion, and that's the way that wrestling is supposed to be done. In the ring, the lead up was perfect. Their promos were perfect. Guys, that's the crescendo. All right, that's where we want to be. So that brings me to the epic fail. Guys, we're probably going to have to speed up here. Time's getting away from me. You can tell I started talking about Punk and Seth. But that brings us to the epic fail. Hulk Hogan. All right, I said in my premiere show, when I first did this first show, and I had that hour-long introduction, and most of you probably didn't listen, I made one thing very fucking clear. Politics would not be allowed on my wrestling show, all right? Because wrestling shows are for wrestling. Well, last night politics got involved, and unfortunately it happened. Guys, first off, WWE should have known this was going to happen. You can't bring Hogan out in this climate, in today's world, in Los Angeles, California, and think that everybody's going to get on their freaking feet and applaud. It's not going to happen. Boo birds were out. We knew it was going to happen. I hated it for the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. I mean, I really hated it for him, because I met him just a while back, and he was such an awesome human being, and he's literally one of the better people I've ever met. And I don't want him to get booed, but then again, it's company that you keep. And, I love Hogan. I'm a Hogan guy. Wrestling, to me, Hogan is part of wrestling. We wouldn't have WrestleMania without Hulkamania. All right, that's where it freaking comes from. So, much ups, much pride, but guys, sometimes Hogan can't stay out of his own way. And I'm gonna say this: politics aside, I don't give a damn who you voted for. All right, unless maybe it was for John Cena. That's my issue, but it's our Bobby Lashley. But I mean, my biggest thing here is that Hogan has said a lot of stuff throughout time that maybe has piled on. I mean, he's had some racial remarks. He's had some issues with his divorce. He's had issues with his kids. Not a good situation. So, I don't know. I just felt like that they set themselves up for failure. And you had opportunities. Fucking The Undertaker was there. The Undertaker was there. And who else was backstage? I know Stone Cold couldn't make it. That sucks. We needed Stone Cold there. But we had other opportunities, and I just think that the nostalgia side of Hogan, it didn't work here. Should have used it at Saturday Night's Main Event. That's what you should have did. He should have been at Saturday Night's Main Event, the event that he created. He didn't create WWE Raw. All right, so I digress. Hogan is over. I will be very surprised if we see Hulk Hogan on a WWE television screen for a very, very long time to come. We might not ever see him again. So, moving forward, guys, I want to very quickly recap NXT. We had a big night of NXT. We had a couple titles change. By the way, NXT was called New Year's Evil. I like how they do these pay-per-view type names for regular shows. AEW does a phenomenal job with that. But I thought that New Year's Evil was a very good show. Up and down, not bad. Decent matches. I think there were 6 matches, maybe 5. We opened up with the women's match. Julia going over Roxanne Perez, winning the NXT women's title. I like that. Good young wrestler. We'll see where we go with it. I have a feeling that Roxanne's getting ready to get the call up to the big show. That's why she lost that belt. We had a great 4-way with the women's match. Stephanie McCurr becoming the number 1 contender for Fallon Henley's North American title. Stephanie McCurr going over. If you guys have listened to any of the show already, you know I'm a huge Stephanie McCurr fan. I think she's the best women's wrestler going right now in ring. And I could be argued with, I'm sure, but glad to see her get another little bit of a push. My favorite part of the night was, and I am partial to my very, very close friend, Javon Evans. My wife will laugh at that. My very close friend Javon Evans gives a promo with his jaw wired shut after the Ethan Page injury. that was awesome. That was so awesome. I am so here for Javon Evans' return. I need a storyline with Ethan Page. This is exactly what both of these two need. You got the young guy working with the veteran hammering down the young popular guy. I think this is going to be a great story. So that was my favorite part of the night. We had Lexis King taking on Charlie Dempsey. He got the win for the Heritage Cup. That was a great match. You guys know I'm here for Lexis King. Big up Brian Pillman. Rest in peace. All right. Let's see. What else did we have? We had a great interaction backstage. The Rock was at NXT. Great interaction with him and All Ego Ethan Page, basically saying, "Don't fuck with my daughter. If you mess with Ava, you're messing with me." That was a great piece. That was a really good backstage piece. Then that brings us to our main event, which was the championship. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, guys. I might talk a little bit about this match in particular later in the week. I'm going to start doing some match focus points as we move forward here. But Obafemi goes over Trick Williams. He goes over Eddie Thorpe and wins the NXT championship. The Rocket stays strapped to Obafemi's ass. I don't know what to say. We knew this was happening. I mean, the guy don't lose. The guy, I thought it was interesting to see him again with Trick. Two very big guys, yet Trick looks little to Oba. The size is there. The mic work is not there yet. I'm here. I'm here. So let's see where we grow. I'm not going to sit here and say I dislike Obafemi because I don't. I think the potential is so huge, and I completely trust anything that HBK is going to do with him. But let's kind of see what direction we go now. I think that Trick is probably getting the call up too with this transfer window they have going on. I think we're going to see Trick and Roxanne get that call up. That's why both of them lost their belts. But we'll see where we go with this. My real question is, who is going to be Oba's first big feud? I don't think it can be Trick. And I'm not exactly sure who it is. I hope it's not Eddie Thorpe, just because I'd like to see something a little bit bigger. I'm not really sure that fits with Oba and Eddie, but we'll see. We'll see. But it could be interesting. There's a couple different directions that they could go with this. So I'm here for it. We'll see. We'll see. So anyway, decent show all in all. It was awesome to see the final boss there. It was awesome to see The Rock pumping up the NXT crowd and basically letting us all know times are good right now in the WWE. Times are very, very good. And we're all happy to be a part of it. So that brings me to Dynamite for tonight. Guys, Dynamite's going to be a great show tonight. Obviously, the biggest part of the night is going to be the Casino Gauntlet match. If you've never seen a Casino Gauntlet match, turn on Dynamite tonight because you're in for some fun. The way they do it, you got guy after guy coming. It's very Royal Rumble-ish, but it's pinfalls and submissions rather than over the top rope. The guy that scores it's going to get that number one contendership to be able to fight for the belt against Jon Moxley at a coming pay-per-view. So big night there. Hopefully we get a good show there. My prediction on this, I'm going with a Jay White win. All right, I'm going with a Jay White win, although I wouldn't be surprised if we have a surprise entrant somewhere. All right, I would say Bobby Lashley might get the push here, but Lashley actually is have a match with Mark Briscoe. That might be fun. I hope they let Chicken have some action here, though. I don't want them just to make Lashley a monster over Chicken, but we'll see what happens. You guys know how I feel about Lashley. So Tony Storm's in action tonight. Will Ospreay is in action tonight. It's a very, very big night for Dynamite. So tune in tonight. Above all, though, we get Kenny Omega. All right. Omega was so freaking good in the Gabe. I watched the Gabe Kid Omega match again. It's just as good the second time as it was the first. But I will say Kenny Omega back on American television tonight. Tune in, give it a shot. Now, that brings me to how I'm going to close things out today. All right. And I want to talk about wrestling classic events. Guys, my passion for wrestling has come since day one. But if you've never been to a live event, go. All right? That's all I can say. If you've never experienced wrestling live, go. And we'll end it with that. Guys, thank you for joining us here on The Slow Burn. I'm Matt Brannon, your host. Remember, guys, in this life, we're wrestling everything. Stay on top.